one of the more dynamic and passionate mentors that we had the good fortune of listening to when we ran our test semester half a year ago. Ernest Radal, if you can join me up here. Michael.
Hi everyone.
Hi.
Ska jag koppla in en låt?
Ja, det står jag.
Ja. Ja, en liten sista. Sorry?
English.
Yeah, no, I'm sorry.
So Ernest runs a company called Learn, which is sort of social entrepreneurship. It's very interesting and it sort of connects to, number one, it's an app. So anybody who's wondering about something like that. And number two, what's maybe interesting is his business model, which the users of the app are not actually the payers. His customers are the communes here in Sweden and sort of the official side of Swedish that has a lot of the information when you're moving to Sweden and where you can find all of these services. So he makes them available through his app. So they pay him to spread the word, so to speak. But I'm guessing he will have some more to say about that.
Definitely, and thank you for that introduction, Helgi. And as a matter of fact, for the business model and for the the whole aspect of the app, I think that's maybe a discussion for the mingle after my presentation, because today I'm here to make you guys take the leap from employees to entrepreneurs. I'm just going to yeah, anyway. När den har slutat snurra så kan du bara trycka upp den här om den slutar snurra och sen så bara slå på första sliden då. För det är bara 2 slides, så bara låt den första sliden ligga uppe så kör jag just ner. Hello? All right. Hi everyone. Thanks for coming. So I have what I think about approximately half an hour or maybe even 40 minutes to talk a little about making the actual leap. Is everybody, do you hear me loud and clear?
Yeah.
Okay. So, I'm going to tell you a story. My story begins in 1980 when I was born. I was born in Malmö, born and raised in 1980. And you know, my parents were immigrants, so they came from ex-Yugoslavia to Sweden. So I was kind of grown up, I kind of grew up in a very typical, so to speak, immigrant situation, whereas, you know, we used to go to, I remember when we were kids, we used to go to, in kindergarten actually, there was a lot of those, a couple of those anyway. So, you know, I kind of grew up in a typical kind of immigrant setting, where I had my parents, you know, they were working a lot, and you know, and from that perspective, I was a kind of odd child, really, because I didn't have that, you know, that DNA, that Balkan DNA, where people were shouting all the time, and you know, I didn't have, I wasn't, you know, I wasn't really the kind of tough guy that was, you know, this kind of macho guy. I was, you know, I was quite, you know, introvert, and I was thinking all the time. This was kind of my theme. I was the thinker. And when I was 5, I was 50. You know, so when I was 5, I was like I was 50. You know, I'm dressed like I was today. I just, you know, I wanted to grow up so fast. This was my only, you know, this was the only thing that I was thinking about when I was 5. I just wanted to grow up, watch documentaries and read newspapers. I didn't start drinking until I was 18, and I only started drinking because I thought that was how to pick up girls. I had four best friends. So you know, really they kind of solved, you know, they kind of helped me a lot. But I had four best friends. And the best thing we ever knew, that was to go out roller skating. So this was basically what we did until we was 18. I never really knew what I wanted to do with my life. This was kind of my big thing. And when I was 18, you know, somebody told, you have to go and do the military service. And so I said, yeah, all right. So I did the military service, and then after military service, I thought, so what am I going to do now? Yes, I walked around here in Gothenburg, in Malmo, walked around in the town, and I saw signs saying, Canary Islands, 600 kronor. So I said, yeah, I'm going to the Canary Islands. So when I was 19, I went to the Canary Islands, and I thought, yeah, this is it, man. I'm going to live a couple of years abroad. I'm going to work as a bartender. I'm just, you know, going to, you know, enjoy life and see other cultures. And, you know, I just forgot that, you know, working as a bartender means a lot of work and, you know, doing nights. And I also forgot that I've never worked as a bartender before. And I also apparently forgot that this trip that I bought was 1 week in the Canary Islands in a shared room with a complete stranger that I've never met. So I ended up living with a priest. I ended up living with a priest for a couple of days, a week, and then eventually, you know, in that week, I managed to find a job and a place to stay. So I found 2 nice girls, and we shared an apartment for the next couple of months in the Canary Islands. And then one day, when I was working in the pub, there was some commotion, or there was some bar fights, and actually I got involved in the fight. There was a guy who punched me in the head from behind, and I was really scared. I mean, this was really my first contact with real life, basically. Before I went to the Canary Islands, I had never been to a pub, basically. And I have definitely never been into a fight. So then I thought, okay, so this is, you know, enough with this. I don't want to be a part of it. So I just went home, packed my bags, and then flew back to Sweden again. And then I thought, okay, what am I going to do now? And then, you know, someone, you know, I saw some documentary or something about Colombia on TV. So I said, yeah, I'm going to go to Colombia. So I went to Colombia, and I ended up staying there for, you know, a little while. And then after a while, I met a girlfriend there, and she said, yeah, you know what we should do? We should go to Italy and study. And I said, okay, yeah, let's go to Italy and study. So I came home to Sweden, packed up a couple of things, went to Italy to study. And I already told you, a couple of guys here in the audience, I went to Milan, and then I thought, yeah, this is really my place in life. Here is where I'm going to stay. And I started off with signing up to a language course. So my plan was that I should, you know, I would stay in Italy for, you know, 6 weeks and finish the language course. And then, in the meantime, I'm just going to figure out what I want to do in life. You know, just, it will come to me. This is what I thought. So I stayed, you know, there, and everything was great. And then suddenly I realized, yeah, you know, I have to make a living. I don't have enough money as a student. And you know, in Milan you have a lot of cool fashion places you want to hang out, and bars, and you want to have clothes. So I started working in a restaurant as a waiter, and then eventually as a bartender at nights. So I used to work Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday, Thursday, Friday, Saturday, and Sunday between 5 and like 3 o'clock. And then I used to go to school between 8 o'clock in the morning and 5 o'clock in the afternoon. So I basically went straight from school to the restaurant where I worked. And eventually I had a friend who said, yeah, we should study, you know, what you want to do in life. I mean, come on, you're here, you're in Italy, you're in Milan, the world's greatest place. I said, I really don't know what I want to do in life. And then he said, yeah, you know what we should do? We should study arts and photography. I said, okay, that sounds interesting, let's do that. So we signed up for the university, one of many universities in Milan, and I started to study photography and art, which was just super cool. You know, this was in '99. So this was just, you know, I just discovered a completely different life. You know, I hang out with a lot of artists. I hang out with a lot of, you know, models from the fashion business. And I just felt like, you know, this is my place. Here, I just really want to stay here. But what I didn't really think about was when my studies finished, I had to find a job. I had to find, you know, I had to survive somehow. So after 3 years, I finished the university in Italy, in Milan, and I started to, you know, search for just any job I could find. Went to any studios, you know, visit, you know, I went to photographers, I went to journalists, but it was really, really tough. So I thought, okay, so maybe photography is not for me. So I packed up my bags, moved back to Sweden, and then I met my wife. So she was from Gothenburg, and I remember I had only been in Sweden for 2 weeks. We met on a vacation abroad while I was still living in Milan. And then when I went back to Sweden, I thought, yeah, why not Gothenburg? So I packed my bags, moved to Gothenburg. Literally 2 weeks after we met, I was staying at her apartment. So this was it, you know, this was the big thing. This was my place. Here I'm going to find out what I want to do. You know, I want to be an entrepreneur. Then I started to think about, you know, maybe I should do something with entrepreneurship. You know, I thought, you know, maybe I should open a kiosk, or, you know, I should maybe, you know, get into, you know, start a gym with a friend, or, you know, I had millions of ideas. So my friend, my wife, she's a hairdresser, as well as my mother, actually. So I should have seen the warning signs already there, but I didn't. So anyway, my wife says to me, we should open a hair salon. So I said, yeah, this is exactly what we're going to do. We're going to open a hair salon. So anyway, we opened the hair salon, and even though I really, you know, I hate the hair business. You know, I really, really hate it. It's super funny. But back then, I just thought that, you know, you have to do something in life. You know, if you want to get ahead, if you want to make money, if you want to be famous, you know, you gotta suck it up and just work really, really hard, and everything will eventually get to you. So we started a hair salon, me and my wife, and what I just didn't think about was that while my wife was cutting hair, somebody else had to do everything surrounding the hair salon. You know, starting with build it. So, you know, I had to be a plumber and a carpenter at the same time. And I had to make, you know, we had employees, we had, you know, insurance, you have to know every rule there is surrounding, you know, how to employ anyone, and not to mention, you know, taxes, bookkeeping, all that things. You know, every time somebody had a problem in the salon, the employee, you know, the water pro, they would just call me all the time. All the time. So, you know, in the end, I was working 24 hours a day. 24 hours a day. And I remember our first daughter, she was born when we had the salon. And, you know, my wife, she was on maternity leave. Guess for how long? 1 month. So my wife was on maternity leave for 1 month. We would, you know, we would carry our, we would always bring, you know, our daughter was like a backpack. She was always with us, always. You know, we used to be at the salon at 5:30 in the morning, and never got home until maybe 10 or 11, or, you know, midnight. That was, you know, every day. So in that period, I was thinking, you know, maybe I should do something else. This is not for me. Then I had a friend who had a company where they sold ads to newspapers. So they would sell, it's basically a selling company. So I thought, yeah, maybe this is something for me. Sales. I've never done sales before. Maybe I should do sales. So we started selling ads to this newspaper, and then we got in touch with a couple of people who were in the advertisement, in the advertising business. And then I thought, wait a minute, here I can use my photographic skills. You know, I can finally make use of that university study that I had, 3 years ago. Why not? So together we start an advertising agency. And this was it. I mean, this was my place in life. This was really my place in life. I just thought, yeah, I mean, the advertising business, we can go to, if I just make a couple of big clients, I can go to cool parties, I can drink champagne, I can hang with, let the advertising business. So we started an advertising agency, and actually it went quite well. For the first time, I just felt like, this is going really, really well. This is it. I can work with this a couple of years and then do a super big exit and just relax and chill. What I just forgot about was that I was running everything together with my co-partners, co-founders, and we were pretty young at that time, so we didn't have we didn't really know about bookkeeping and taxes and these kinds of things. We had people that helped us, of course, but it was all a great tons of fun back then. We would hang out at the office. We would have like mingle nights. We would invite clients, drink beers, and so it was kind of a cool period in time. But all of a sudden, I got we got some notifications from the government saying you have to file for this thing, and you have to do this, and I got so stressed, and I just thought, I mean, what is this? I mean, is there someone who can help me? And I contacted, a couple of bookkeeping companies, and it was just a lot. So unfortunately, in the end, we had some issues with the government, and since I was the owner of the advertising agency, so everything fell on me. So in the end, I had to go to court. And of course, I was prosecuted for not filling all the documents in the same, as accordingly to law. It didn't. Fortunately, it had nothing to do with taxes, because if it had to do with taxes, I wouldn't be standing here. But it was just bookkeeping stuff. So and since I had no money, everything was just shut down and everything was crashed. I got a really kind of low, the prosecutors were kind to me. So then after a while I thought, okay, so what am I going to do now? I mean, what am I going to be when I grow up? Thing is that I've always been interested in, and this is the thing, this is where, from when I'm 5, but I'm really 50 in my head. So I've always been kind of interested in the social, social aspects of society. I've always been involved in different, non-profits and helped out within different organizations, and I've always been interested in issues concerning migrants, and this thing was always inside of me, but I really never, had the courage to really even think about it. I didn't even have the courage to talk to anyone about it. Because everybody all of my friends, they wanted to, make money and be cool entrepreneurs, basically. So then, my friend, my co-founder, had a great idea. He said, so why not take all of these, all this, knowledge that we have, and start a company, start a business that also does something, not just makes money, but does something for the common good. And you have to remember, this was in 2005. We had an office. It was here in Västra Hamngatan, really here in the central. And we had the advertising agency. And what happened was we had two guys, two really weird-looking guys. I mean, they were really suspicious guys. They were staying in our basement, the same place that we had the office. And I soon realized that these guys are developers. They are some kind of programmers, yeah? And, but they were really, really weird looking. And one day we started talking with these guys and they said, okay, so what are you doing, guys? Yeah, we're developing something cool. We are making web pages to be used in mobile phones. So I said, what? I mean, this sounds really crazy. Yes, it's going to be the next big thing. It's going to be the big thing of the future. Everybody's going to surf, to access the web in their cell phones. I said, come on, get out of here. And what happened eventually is that we slowly started collaborating with these guys. So then we started to, really investigate the possibilities of accessing the web in cell phones. So back in 2010, when we started to think about how could we actually develop a company that's not only super smart and super cool and makes a lot of money, but also makes the world a little better place. And that's when we founded the company called Mobilearn. So Mobilearn is a service on cell phones. It's an app, it's a platform in cell phones for migrants, for refugees. It's very simple. So we thought that if we just took all government information, I mean, the business is, the idea is brilliant. Take all government information that's out there, Swedish, and just, collect it and make a nice, easy to use app of it. Sounds really easy, isn't it? Well, it wasn't that easy because we suddenly realized in 2007, in 2007 the iPhone came. So after that it was just, before that we were just, crazy. But after 2007 when the iPhone came, everybody was just, hey, let's surf on cell phones. So, a couple of years later in 2010 when we were trying to, 2011 when we were trying to collect all government data, imagine all data from the unemployment office, from the healthcare, from the police. When we knocked on their doors and said, hey, we need all your information, and we need to collect it somehow into a nice and easy to use app, they were just laughing. I mean, they were literally laughing. I even had a couple of meetings where government representatives would say to us, they would sit and smile and everything was nice and cozy during the meeting, but after when they walked with us to the elevator, they would say to me, Ernest, this idea with government information in cell phones, forget about it. It's not going to happen. They would literally say to me, don't come back. I'm being really, really kind to you, so I'm giving you a word of advice. It's never going to happen. So basically what we did is we took all government information, collected it, translated it, because obviously our Swedish government hasn't, figured out they need to translate their information as well. I mean, some of you are English speaking, you know what I'm talking about. When you go to government site, there's barely nothing. So we translated everything. And then we made a really easy to use, like a one-stop shop for migrants with all the government information that you need in one place. And then we said, yay, I mean, this is it. Now we just have to target the migrants and the immigrants. You see, here was the second problem. Because how can we target migrants? So we started to, we bought ads in newspapers, we did, in metro stations, we did everything basically. But of course, the migrants, they were, when you come to Sweden, it's not the first thing that you think about is I need to download an app. And besides, who is going to pay for it? This was our next big thing. So then we decided, okay, if we can make the government buy it, that's brilliant. If we can make the government buy our app and then give it to migrants when they come to Sweden, this is fantastic. So this is what we did. We went to, well, first of all, we went straight to the government. And then we said, yeah, you should buy this. This is the coolest thing ever. If you just give this to migrants, they will integrate, much faster than average integration. And you guys are going to spend shitloads of money. And the migrants are going to become Swedish in 1 year instead of 10. And obviously they said, you're crazy. So after that, we thought, okay, so maybe we should do it from bottom up instead of top down. So then what happened is we went to the municipalities. So Sweden has 290 plus municipalities, 293 municipalities, and every one of them makes their own decisions. So they're like a mini government in their own. So this was our, this was challenge number 6. So basically it meant that we had to visit all 290 municipalities. And I remember in the beginning, we had no money, obviously. So in the beginning, when we had our first client meetings, they would say like something like this: "Yeah, can you come to Trelleborg and show us the app? Or can you come to, even worse, can you come to Umeå and show us the app?" And then we said, "Okay, we have no money. How can we do it? We have to get there." So I borrowed my father's car, and I don't know if you guys, if you know what a Fiat Panda is. So the Fiat 500, so the 500 Fiat is the smallest one, and then you have the Panda, which is kind of, you guys from Genoa and from Brescia or Bergamo, you know the Fiat Panda. So it's a little bit bigger than the Fiat 500, but basically it's like a box on wheels that's made of like a, this chair is harder than the Fiat Panda, basically. And it was in the middle of the winter. And it was really, really, really cold. It was snowing. And we had no winter tires, only summer tires. So we said, okay, let's drive. And we were driving to Stockholm from Gothenburg. So we said, okay, let's drive. So we drove, and it started to snow. It was like a snowstorm. I mean, that year was like the blizzard. It was like the mother of all blizzards. And in the middle of the snowstorm, in the middle of the highway, the windshield wipers, they stopped to function. And we are continuing to drive. We're driving. We said, yeah, if we just drive faster, it won't be ice. And we had all types of ideas on how to make it. So in the end, we had just a lot of ice. We just had a lot of ice on the windshield, and we couldn't drive. And we were late to the meeting, and I was sweaty, and this is the big break. We have to make it, and everything was just, So in the end, what we did is we kind of thought about something really genius. Is that my colleague Klaus, he would drive, and I would roll down. I rolled down the window, and I would hang out of the car while driving, and pouring hot water on the windshield all the time. Like every 5 minutes, I would just hang out the window and pour warm water on the windshield so it didn't freeze. Anyway, finally we did it, and MobiLearn was really a big, huge success. So this was 10 years ago, and today we have signed deals with more than half of Sweden's all municipalities. We have collaborations with some of the biggest entities in the Swedish government, like Arbetsförmedlingen, and we've worked with Migrationsverket. We raised about 25 million Swedish crowns, and we also had an office in Brussels, and we had an office in the UK just 6 months before Brexit, and then we had to close it down. So it's been a really, really huge thing, and a really, really good thing. And we had money. We were cash positive, and everything felt really, really nice. So that was kind of a good period in my life, and especially since I had the opportunity to work with migrants, and I had the opportunity to work with refugees. This is exactly the things I wanted. I was really, really burning for this. I went to Italy many times, to Sicily. I visited, the camps where the migrants arrived. I've been, and actually at the time, we were considered one of Sweden's first social entrepreneurs. They released a book last year called 100 Social Innovations that Can Change Sweden. We were mentioned in that book. So we were the very, very first social entrepreneurs from that aspect. Even without knowing. We didn't even know. Who knew what social entrepreneurship was at that time? And MobiLearn has really, really taken me to a lot of cool places. It's taken me to a lot of cool connections with people. I've worked with 3 governments. I worked with our 3 latest governments. First the right one, and now 2 left governments. Let's see what this government is going to decide on. I worked with 3 governments. I've spoken in the European Parliament 2 times in front of commissioners, in front of European parliamentarians, just like you are sitting now, who just wanted to know, I mean, what's the secret sauce of social entrepreneurship, and how did you manage to create a mobile, you know, when nobody else did? So this was a really nice period in life. Just before last year, end of last year, we managed to, you know, we found out that one of our partners actually wanted to acquire us. So this was a big thing. So, as you can imagine, there was a huge commotion in the office, you know. This is the big thing, you know, this is the exit, we're going to make a lot of money, you know, they want to acquire us, etc., etc. So everybody was really in a positive mode. And, you know, I kind of felt that I was a little bit sad about this, because I really wanted to kind of keep the social aspect of the mobile, because, you know, this was my little baby, so to speak. And I was never about, I used to joke a lot. I used to say that my co-founder Klaus, he was the brains and I was the heart. So this was kind of our, this was the standard joke. Every time we used to meet investors, this was kind of the standard joke, you know, I'm the heart. And I really felt that, you know, I wanted to do something else. So then I always had a big dream. I want to be involved in politics. This was kind of my big dream. So I decided to get involved in politics. So this year I candidated for the first time for the parliament, and it actually went really well. This was my first campaign, and I got the 4 most elected candidate for parliament here from Gothenburg. For the Swedish Liberals. So this was, and you know, for the first time in many years, I felt like this was really fun. This was really fun. And then I decided, okay, so now so my first big dream was, I want to get involved in politics. So my second big thing was, and I've been thinking about this for a long time, I want to start an NGO, you know, or a non-profit, or something similar to that. I want to really work with, you know, like a non-profit organization, and work with questions about inclusion or environmental questions, or you know, just work with people. Work with people that are, you know, disabled or something like that. So right now, actually, I'm just in the beginning of starting a non-profit organization. So I'm kind of in a good place in life right now. And so what I really wanted you guys to take away from this little chat, because now I've opened up my whole life for you basically, is that I think there are 2 kinds of people in this life. So you have person A, who has a dream, and then you have person B, who has another dream. Difference is that person A just really tries to pursue their dream. You know, really tries to do it. And then you have the person A who's just, you know, I have this dream, and just keeps on dreaming. Keeps on dreaming his whole life. I want you guys to be person A. I want you guys to really try and really do what you love. And by the way, here's a really important thing. You don't have to be entrepreneurs who make shitloads of money. You just have to be honest to yourselves. What do I enjoy doing in life? Because here's the secret sauce to entrepreneurship. If you do what you enjoy, then I can bet my beep on it that you will be really successful. So think about what you enjoy. You know, I'm 38. I just wished I got involved in politics earlier. I just, you know, I feel now like I should have started this non-profit years ago. Why didn't I do it? Because when I start shutting out, okay, when I shut out all this noise, all these bullshit, voices I had surrounding me, parents, friends telling you that you shouldn't do this, your neighbor saying, yeah, it sounds cool you want to start your own business, but it's better to take a job as an employment somewhere, it's safer. When I finally, after 38 years, shut out these noises, you know what happened then? Complete silence. I just felt like it was completely silent. And the best thing is, I feel more solid and more rock solid than I've ever done before. Because I really don't care what anybody thinks anymore. So, be person A. Try, do it. This is my 5th company. I've even, I've been to court. I've been everywhere. Just do it. Act on it. It's just a true story, Elliot. This was my 45 minutes of fame. I'm more than happy to, answer any questions and let's do it. I'm demanding a Q&A. You can ask me anything. Okay, go ahead, guys. Yes?
How do you make the transition between, having a steady income into entrepreneurship?
Yeah, so this is a really, really tricky part. I'm not going to, joke around about this. This is really, really tough. What you basically need to do is I'm not going to tell you what you need to do, but I'm going to tell you what I did, so it makes more sense. So basically what I did is I had several jobs at the same time. So I had one job that gave me sort of a steady income. So we had the hair salon with my wife. So this was the thing. The salon opened at 10. So it opened at 10. So I would go to the salon at 5:30 in the morning, and then prep everything. It's like organize the shampoo bottles, do the salaries, prep the computer, swipe, clean everything up, yada yada yada. And then at 10 o'clock, I would then go to. We had an office back then.
Yeah.
So then I would go to the office and I would work until around 4, and then I would go to kindergarten and pick up my daughter, and then I would bring my daughter to the salon where I would be from about 5 to, midnight. So the thing I'm trying to say here is that you need to have a somewhat steady income, because I've heard some people say, yeah, I just dive into it. This is how it gets me engaged. If you're hungry, hungry wolves hunt more effectively, like something like that. And that might work for some people, but it didn't work for me. So the thing is, you have to have it gradually, and then when you feel like, you're gonna feel after a while that, okay, so now I can cut down a little bit on what's actually paying my salaries, and then we go over a little bit to be more involved in my business. In the beginning, come on, I was sitting at home doing the cold calls. And after, 1 year sitting home, I would go to my coffee shop, which was in Condé, Guadalajara. I had my office there for 2 years. I would do cold calls from a coffee shop. Everybody knew who I was, I can promise you that. After that, actually I got a space here. I was the first, one of the first to sit in this office space. So you have to take it gradually. Does it make sense?
Yeah, definitely. Thanks.
Yes,
How
sir.
do you take it from entrepreneur to a politician?
So basically, I thought, first of all, I thought like this, if I don't really follow my dreams now, I'm never going to follow my dreams. So, and this is the toughest thing you can do in life, is to follow your dream. And even worse, if somebody else thinks your dream is shit. When I told my friends I want to get involved in politics, they would just say, come on, politics are just liars, they're full of shit, everybody's going to hate you, don't do it.
Yeah.
But actually this was a dream that I had, even since you remember when I was 5, I was 50 in my head. So, I was really interested in politics, always. And then I just felt like, politics need more non-politicians. So this was kind of the spur to me. And then I said, hey, I'm just gonna do it, no matter what, you know. So I just signed up for the party and started to get real engaged. More questions? I'll pay you if you ask me anything. No?
How much?
Yep.
I have a question. How do you balance what you put your energy?
Yep.
Like when you said, okay, I want an app, do you spend the time involving the people who are expert on it?
Exactly.
Do you spend the time learning yourself?
So this is actually one of my slides that I have here, but I will say it to you. So one of the toughest thing that all you need to do, according to me, if I might give you that advice, is just to be self-aware. And this is what I mean by saying, know yourself. I'm super interested in apps, but I don't know how to develop one. And this is the truth. I don't know how to develop it. I'm not a developer. So this is what you need to know, and you don't. The worst thing you can do is fool yourself. For example, I suck at calculates. Whenever I see an Excel spreadsheet, I just want to scream and run out of the room. I still do sometimes. So you need to find someone who's an expert or knows the things that you don't. This is really, really important. So you need to have I need an app developer. Okay, here's one. Or, find one. I need to have a guy who's really good at, Excel spreadsheets, so I don't have to go to court again. Here's one guy. I need, and so on and so on. Do you understand what I mean? Does this answer your question, or? But when it comes to, all or nothing, unfortunately, I'm pretty 100% in everything. So when I really decide on something, I really go for it. And this is arguable. I mean, you can discuss that. Some people are really concerned about their private, the work-life balance. Someone has people. I know people have rules. Some people that I've met have rules. I never answer a call after 8 o'clock in the night, or whatever. Or I don't answer emails on weekends. And I mean, you can have that as long as it works for you. This is the most important thing. As long as it works for you, find out what works for you. And the best way to find that out is just simply be honest to yourself. I mean, I don't know anything about Excel spreadsheets. I need someone who does it. Yep.
I have a question about the balance. I heard you talk about having friends and having fun when you were struggling or when you were doing business.
Yep.
So how long is the friendship? I mean, the importance to separate friendship and then work.
Yeah.
And were you like good friends before? And give some advice to start a business with a friend like for a long time ago, or making friends while we're doing your business?
Sure. So for me, that's an easy question. Never start, well, for me, I would never again, because I've done this, obviously this mistake, I would never start a business with any friends. Even the best friends, they are the worst. I mean, that is I've known you my whole life. I had this thing. I didn't tell you everything, but I also had a real estate agency for a couple of years because we were selling apartments in Croatia, where my father is from. And I had one of my best friends, and his father is also Croat. I mean, these guys, we've known each other from, he's my best friend in my whole world. Worst decision ever. Don't start with your friends, and don't start companies with your families. Spouses, cousins. You're just gonna lose your money and lose your husband. This is a fact. I almost lost my money and my wife. No, but seriously, don't do it. So I think, and this is also, this is obviously an experience thing. And I'm not saying it doesn't work. I'm just saying it doesn't work. It doesn't work for me. It never did. So I think you should start, businesses with, people that you need. This is the ones you should start a business with, and just be clear, in advance, like, okay, this is the rules. I mean, no hard feelings. Don't take it personally. But this is just, how we're going to structure our kind of venture. And I mean, of course, you get friends along the way. I was telling Thomas, yeah, I talked to my old CEO just outside here when I came. He's not our CEO anymore, but you become friends along the venture. It's just normal. But no friends, no family.
I have one question.
Yeah.
But if not friends, how are you going to find the right person, and how do you know that this person is really the one you need?
You just need to chance. You just need to take a chance. I mean, obviously, you can do all in your power to really try and understand if this person is right or wrong, but it's still going to be an assumption. You can be 99% sure, but it's still going to be an assumption. Do you understand what I mean when I say it like that? Because the truth is, the more time you spend, and I've seen this happen so many times, I've done this, the more time you spend on finding the right people, finding the right networks. I need to have investors. I need to understand who's my client. I need to go to whatever, to Peru to understand how this thing is growing that I'm going to sell. I need to learn, how to program. I need to learn how to write perfect texts. I need to do press releases. Oh, I need to do these things. The more time you spend on this, the further away your dream gets. Do you understand what I mean when I say it like that? You're just pushing this in front of you, and in the end, it's not going to happen. So just try and understand, okay, LinkedIn, whatever. I don't know, maybe you need, I'll give you a good example. Go through my LinkedIn contacts. Go through all of them. And just try to understand, here's 5 people working with this. They might be what I need. Contact them. I will contact them for you. I will tell them to meet you. I've done it with previous participants in the Founders Institute. So, for a fact, I will contact them for you. Sit down with them. Question them. Prepare. Have like an inquiry, like a survey with 25 questions from the, be prepared. Ask them. I'm starting a venture, I need this and this and this, what's your qualifications? Do a job interview with 5 persons, or 10, not 50, but 10. Do you understand what I mean? And then in the end it's going to be like, I kind of feel for this guy. He has all but in the end, this guy could prove an asshole, just like anyone else. It happened to me. The guy who I was running the advertising agency with, 2 years after we started the agency, so like 3 years, turns out he went on vacation, spent all the company's money, and no, it's true. It used the company credit card and just cashed out everything. All right.
A couple of more questions.
I'm also going to be here, after mingling. I can even sleep here if it's necessary. So just I'm prioritizing the questions. Yes.
Okay, you mentioned about you recognize 2 types of people.
Yeah.
The dream chasers and the dreamers.
Yes.
I'm more of a dreamer guy.
Yep.
So do you have any suggestion about how can you move towards being more of a dream chaser?
What's your name?
Stepan,
Stepan.
from former Yugoslavia.
Where are you from, Stepan?
From Bosnia.
Okej, hej, kako si? Si dobro? Odlično. Baš mi je drago da si došao večeras. We are all gonna die. Life is too short. I mean, think about it. It's just crazy. I mean, I heard in another, I have a guy who I follow in social media. So, what are the odds being born as a human? No, seriously. I mean, unless you believe, something else, we were first worms, and then fishes, and then, and we're all gonna die. Life is limited. Come on. I mean, 99.9 of everybody I know goes to work with something they hate. Like 99.99999. No, it's true.
Actually, it's closer to 80%.
no, it's 9999999. No, but do you understand what I mean, Stephen? I'm trying to be as honest as I can.
You're hanging out with the wrong people.
Sorry?
I'm just kidding.
No. But really, life is too short. Just try it.
One last question from the back.
No, it's one question here and then one question there. Yep, go on.
So what is your greatest motivation in doing what you do, and has it changed through your life?
Yep.
And what kind of makes you go on when you're in like tough, rough times?
Yep. That's a really good question. And for many years, I didn't know what my motivation was. I thought I did, but I didn't. My motivation was in the beginning it was money, because I really wanted to make a lot of money. But then, like 3 years ago, just recently, like 2 years ago, as a matter of fact, what happened is I went to a wedding, and I ended up sitting next to a very successful Swedish athlete, a woman. And she asked me, what's your motivation? Because athletes work with a lot of motivation. And she just said to me, what's your motivation? And I said, I'm an entrepreneur, I want to make a lot of money, and I just want to be famous, and I want to have a nice house, and I want to care for my family. This was kind of the big thing. And she said, is this really your motivation? And I said, what do you mean? She said, you have to be honest to yourself. What is your real motivation? So the minute, after that I started thinking about what is my motivation, and I understood what it was. My motivation is I want to see others succeed. I mean, this sounds like a cliche, I know, but you can ask anyone who knows me. I'm the least egocentric person you will ever meet. I mean, if you ask me for anything, if you call me in the middle of the night and say, hey Ernest, I need to bury a dead body, I'm going to say, what shoes should I be wearing? This is my answer. So for me, my motivation is I want to see other people succeed. And when I think about that, it makes me feel happy, even more than money. I mean, money is not even close. So for me, it's about finding that motivation. It's simple. I met entrepreneurs who said, my motivation is my family. Or, my motivation is food. I heard, I met a really, really super successful, actually Danish entrepreneur just the other day. She's on TV, and she's like a, $1 million success with books and everything. She said, my motivation is food, sex, and wine. No, it's true, but she was Danish, yeah? So, But I'm trying to say, my motivation was this: you have to be honest to yourself and really try and find your own one, and be brave. Shut out the noise. Make your brain silent. Make it silent. Not your friend's motivation or your family's or your parents. Your motivation. Does it make sense? I know it's a little bit, maybe difficult, but try it.
But what about when you struggle, when you have like rough times? Like, what motivates you then?
We're all gonna die. No, it's not a joke. Sometimes when I wake up in the morning, I say, oh, I have 3 children. So the other night, actually, I was writing on my business plan for the venture, for the non-profit. It's here. Look. Here's my basic business plan for my non-profit. So I was sitting up. I was writing. It was 2 o'clock. I went to bed like 2:30. My middle son, Alexander, he wakes up. He's peed in his bed. I have to, change all the sheets. And in the morning, I have my youngest son, who's 3. He wakes me up at 5. So I think, I'm really, really tired. I don't want to do this. Everything sucks. I'm going to faint. And then I think about, actually, it's true. We're all going to die. We have a limited, it's funny, but we have a limited time on this earth. Just make something meaningful of it. For you. Yeah, last question here, and then,
Thank you.
yeah, my pleasure.
My question is concerning raising capital. What would your advice be when it comes to raising the capital to run a business? Would it be personal savings or
Yeah.
would it be funding, raising funds? If
Yeah.
so, how to do it in the best way?
Okay. So, here's what I will do. I'll keep this answer a little bit short, and then we can talk about the capital raising also in the mingle. But I'm going to answer your question. In the beginning, what I did is I had money coming from working 2 jobs, and then after a while, as we were talking about, I had like 50,000 or 100,000 Swedish kronor that I would kind of invest in my business, so to speak. When it comes to when we raised capital, we got our first 100,000 from friends, families and friends. So basically, mom, dad, can you chip in 50,000? Can you do this? Can you do that? There's no, unless you have a super rich neighbor or a very good friend who has 100 millions, then he would say, here's 50,000 or here's 250,000, do whatever you like. So in the beginning, it's really about collecting from people you know and in your network who trusts you, basically, who believe in you. And then for the first millions, the first couple of millions, then there's a couple of steps. You need to have an investment memorandum, but most important is networks. And there you have to really, really, really dig into networks. We got angel investment. We got 1 million crowns. Our first million. The first million is the toughest. The first million is the hardest. We got our first million from 2 friends. Seniors, older men, quite stereotyped older men who had a successful background in banking. So they said, if you go in with half, I'll go in with half. So it's really about finding those people. But what we also did actually is, this is the last thing I'm going to tell you on this topic, because I'm going to let Helgi enter. But what we also did that I think was quite genius, if I may say so myself, is that we had a product description of the app, and then we had a beta version of the app. And then we went to like 50 municipalities and said, if I were to finish this app, would you buy it? And then the municipality would say, looks good, the specification looks nice, but if you make it, do I really have to buy it? And I said, no, you don't have, I'm not forcing you to buy it, but here's a piece of paper, like a agreement. Sign this, obviously I can't make you buy it, but if I did this, if we developed this app, would you then potentially buy it? So then they would sign, and we had like 50 potential deals. And then we went to the bank and we said, hey, listen up, bank, we have 50 potential deals here, worth X amount of money. Can you borrow half of this amount? And then the bank would say, but it's still potential deals, they're never going to buy, blah, blah, blah. And then you have to say, yeah, they're going to buy, you see, they signed the papers, and so on and so on. So this is what we did. We got pre-orders on a piece of paper, basically. But this is just a small glimpse of the whole investment kind of procedure, and I'm happy to share more information when I have a beer.
Yeah. Thanks.
Okay, any more questions?
Yes,
Yes, sorry, go ahead.
I have 3 short questions.
Yeah, go ahead.
Yes. Hello.
Hey, I'm Ernest. Nice to
My
meet
name
you.
is Chris.
Nice to meet you.
Yes. So I work for every woman in the world. So I'm bringing my son here today.
Great.
Yes.
I noticed you've been bringing a stroller. This is me 10 years ago.
So I'm helping all the women in the world
Yeah.
to bring their children to co-working places.
Oh, okay.
Yes, that's the first.
Cool.
Yes,
I know a company in Italy you should hook up with who does exactly this.
you should.
Yeah.
So we talk later.
Definitely.
The second is, what do you think about sharing economy, like collaborative economy? What do you think about it?
Well, I'm not sure I understand what you mean.
Collaborative economy, sharing.
The sharing economy?
Yes.
You mean as a business
In
idea?
Gothenburg, we have the best idea of smart map
Okay, okay.
right now,
Okay.
and they are creating really good things.
Yeah?
So for everyone to share the economy,
I mean, look, what do you think of it?
I think it's great
Then
already.
then you should do it. Then this is exactly what you should do.
Yes.
Here's this is the key for my whole, speech. If it makes you happy and you think it's great, do it.
But what is your idea to bring it more to all the people who understand that this is good? It's not only for the poor people. It can be for everyone to share.
Sounds good. Why not?
I want to share the car to Stockholm from Gothenburg.
Yeah,
You know.
exactly. Yeah.
So what's your thinking about it?
Sounds good when you say it.
So can we actually share the economy? Because they have like a
No, I understand what you mean. That's,
so many ideas also that you can bring, like you can be a part of incubation, you can be like a part of many companies together,
yeah.
and you can
Look,
like,
here's
you can just like spend Swedish crowns,
Yeah.
3,000 crowns 1 year, and then you have like a whole connection. So everyone will have help everyone.
Yeah, of course.
Yeah.
You know what? Here's the thing. The more you give, and this sounds like a cliche as well, the more you'll get back. I promise you.
But this is for real. This is happening now.
Yeah. No,
think
I know it's happening
It's
now.
the future.
Yeah, circular economy. I know it.
Yeah.
I know it.
Can
Yeah,
we
of course.
talk more about it?
Yes,
after?
definitely.
Thank
I'm more
you.
than happy to. Nice to meet you.
My name is Therese.
Yeah, nice to meet you, Therese, for sure, definitely.
So I have one last question of my own.
Yep, go ahead.
I think I'm sort of gonna, somebody had the question, how do you go from being the dreamer to the dream chaser?
Yep.
Our message is obviously to get started, and we have a program to help do that. But that's us pitching you guys, naturally. So my question to you as an experienced entrepreneur, what would have been the value in something like The Entrepreneur at some stage in your journey? What would be a recommendation or your pitch for them?
To take the leap from employees to entrepreneurs, is that?
Yeah. For example, by joining our program.
I mean, look, I'm gonna tell you one thing. The DNA test that you guys have,
Yep.
everybody's an entrepreneur. You don't need a test. You're entrepreneurs. The only piece of advice I can give on this specific this specific question is you have to be you have to really be self-aware. So you really need to try and understand what are your passions and be honest, because sometimes your passions may not be what you think they are. If you just want to be an entrepreneur to make money, I know there are people in finance, in banking. I know a couple of them. Their passion is to make money. So, and you can notice that because they make tons of money. So this is my point, that be honest to yourselves. What's your passion? And again, I'm going to come back to that. I know it sounds silly, but our time here is limited. I'm trying to be a little motivational here. But our time on this earth is really limited. And I think, my life story kind of proves it. I've done like 15 things and, done, huge amounts of mistakes up until now. So what I'm trying to say is that the most important thing I want to send out to you guys is just do it. Be the person who really tries in doing it. Because I'm gonna tell you, you're just gonna regret that you never tried. And it's a fact.
Let that be the last words.